Did you know that Luffy almost became Joyboy 2 other times in Wano, and that when he used the voice of all things, it may have been the voice of Joyboy within Luffy? Little by little, the Joyboy from within has been getting closer to leaking out of him. Have you ever asked yourself, when did Luffy learn to speak telepathically? Or how did he do the impossible while completely knocked out? Or maybe, how did Luffy supposedly die and come back to life with another presence? Wizard of Ores here today, and I'm gonna explain to you how all this is connected and how Luffy almost became Joyboy multiple other times throughout Wano. To start off, I want to discuss Luffy's unconscious state that continuously comes up. We've seen Luffy become unconscious 3 times in Wano so far, and every time he knocks out, it's specifically caused by a blow from Kaido. I don't know about you, but the first time he did this, I was very confused and was just wondering how he was staring Kaido down while being knocked out or unconscious. Is there something or someone else inside Luffy's body besides the soul that we know and love? Not only did Luffy stare Kaido down, but he also used the color of the Supreme King to take down Kaido's minions. What if this wasn't actually Luffy staring down Kaido, but was the Joyboy from within? As of thus far, there is no explanation to this mysterious power, and it only gets weirder from here on out. The next time Luffy does this, it is after round 2 with Kaido up on Roof Piece. Kaido famously tells him, "You couldn't beat Joyboy either, it seems." This is obviously foreshadowing to current events, but I think the bigger foreshadow from this scene isn't actually what Kaido told Luffy, but instead is what happens right after. Luffy is yet again completely unconscious and even drowning once he falls into the sea. Yet again, he isn't even awake or conscious, but somehow he's able to use the voice of all things to tell Momo that he will take down Kaido. How can he be so sure that he will beat Kaido when Kaido's ridiculously stronger than him, and after he just lost to him for the 2nd straight time? He seems almost unrealistically confident about the situation, even knowing how Luffy is and his personality. It almost seems like something deep down in him knows that he's destined to defeat Kaido, just like how the prophecy said. So far, I haven't heard of anyone telling Luffy about the prophecy, so I don't understand how he already seems to know what will happen in the future. Is it possible that something in the back of his head is telling himself that he will 100% beat Kaido? He even told Kaido that as long as he's alive, he has infinite chances, which shows that he seems to somewhat understand that he is the main character of this story. There is certain things that Luffy seems so confident about, and another one of those things is becoming the king of the pirates. Maybe his whole life something in the back of his head already knew that he would be destined to be the king of the pirates one day. I've never seen anyone so confident in such an insane dream or task like finding the One Piece. Sure, people bring up that it's their dream to be the pirate king, but the difference with Luffy is that right when you meet him, he tells you, "Hey, I'm Luffy, I'm going to be the pirate king." Maybe it's been the Joyboy within him telling himself and other people that he will do it no matter what happens. Throughout all of One Piece, it seems as if fate and destiny was on Luffy's side a bit too much. I mean, countless times he should have died, but something in him and in the world let him continue going. Even though this analysis of Luffy being fully confident in defeating Kaido is a bit interesting itself, this isn't even the confusing and strange part of Luffy communicating with Momo with the voice of all things. As far as I'm concerned, the voice of all things isn't the human language. It's some sort of telepathy between only certain beings that can hear it and understand it. It seems to be some ancient language that is spoken from ancient creatures from the Void Century. Since we have only seen creatures or humans from the Void Century use this language of telepathy, I'd assume that they're the only ones that even know how to send telepathic messages. So with this being said, it puts up the question, since when did Luffy learn how to speak this language that only beings from the Void Century were able to speak? Last time I checked, just because you can hear the voice of all things doesn't necessarily mean that you can speak it. We see Roger and Odin communicate with the universal One Piece language when they hear the Sea Kings. They don't communicate back with the voice of all things, but instead just yell out how they normally would with anyone. Same thing with Shirahoshi and Momo. When Shirahoshi is talking to the Sea Kings, she speaks to them by talking out loud instead of using the voice of all things like the Sea Kings did. When Momo talks to Zunisha, he screams out to it and uses his out loud voice instead of using telepathy, which shows he can also understand the voice of all things but cannot speak it. So with all this being said, this pretty much proves that the only things that have been able to speak the voice of all things were people or creatures that lived 800 years ago. This ancient language of telepathy is used by the Kozuki clan, Zunisha, and the Sea Kings. Since only ancient beings have been proved to be able to speak the voice of all things, when and how did Luffy learn? I mean, it wasn't until he was knocked out by Kaido and drowning to his death that he was able to use telepathy. What if this language that is only used by beings that existed over 800 years ago wasn't actually used by Luffy, but was used by another soul or another conscious inside of him, Joyboy? What if Joyboy and Luffy share a body but are different souls or consciouses? It could either be this, or their souls are intertwined and combined. Maybe this Joyboy power-up can only be unlocked if Luffy dies or is completely knocked out. Kaido seems to have knocked the Joyboy into Luffy, literally. Every time he knocks him out, he wonders why he is still being stared down. Kaido is just as confused as I am to why Luffy can still be so focused even when he's unconscious. In the latest chapter 1043, we hear that Luffy actually died. Kaido claims that he isn't just knocked out, but dead. Also, Momo and Law both say that they can't hear his voice anymore. This could possibly be because Luffy actually died and the soul of Joyboy, or Nika, had to take over his body before it was too late. Luffy's believed voice of all things ended because Joyboy had to have a transmutation within Luffy's body with Luffy's soul and his own. I know this may sound very confusing and very speculative, but a lot of things just don't add up to this situation. It also doesn't make any sense that Zunisha didn't notice Luffy before as Joyboy, but did after he supposedly died. I mean, Luffy was on top of Zunisha, so I don't quite see how he would miss that. I really believe that something strange is going on, and it's not what we think it is. Oda even said to pay attention to the main character, Luffy, throughout Wano, and here we have really dived deep into what he has done throughout the arc. Not one, not two, but 3 times he was completely defeated or knocked out by Kaido, and once he was even announced as dead. Each time, something even stranger than before happened, almost as if each time Kaido defeated him, the Joyboy from within awoke a bit more. Zunisha apparently heard the drums of liberation for the first time in 800 years, which shows that whatever happened within Luffy's body may not even be Luffy himself. As I might be stating the obvious right now, if this were actually Luffy himself, then how would he wake up after presumably dying? Also notice how Momo didn't notice or hear them, but Zunisha did. Zunisha was probably able to notice it since he already knew what the heartbeat sounded like and Momo didn't. It seems to be a different heartbeat than what Luffy had before, the heartbeat of another soul while inside Luffy's flesh and blood. Even his hair seems to be different and in the shape of Nika. Remember, in chapter 1042 he even stated that he only has one more hit in him before he loses all his energy and loses to Kaido. He didn't just run out of energy, but was also completely blindsided by CP0 and then crushed by Kaido's Club of Thunder. How can he possibly get up after all of this? It logically makes no sense, and I don't think it's as simple as to say this is Gear 5. Even if it is Gear 5, which it might be, how would Luffy even be able to awaken his devil fruit in the current condition that he's in? Joyboy's soul or consciousness could possibly be in the Gum Gum fruit, but I'm not quite sure on that yet. That definitely could be a possibility, especially since Nika seems to have had a stretchy and loose body limbs. Also, Uteron breaks down the importance of the Gum Gum fruit as well. With this being said, if Joyboy came inside Luffy through the Devil Fruit, or was reincarnated in some way, it still doesn't change the fact that it seems to be Joyboy himself somehow inside Luffy's body right now. Also, Luffy dying and being reborn is much connected with Nika and Skypiea. In case you forgot, when the Straw Hats go to Skypiea, they make jokes about being in heaven. They make jokes that they may have actually died, especially once they see Heaven's Gate. Remember, the Skypiea arc is heavily linked to the sun god Nika, mainly the Shandians. The Shandians worship the sun god and even give it human sacrifices on an altar. I don't find it a coincidence that Luffy had to die to become Nika, just like how in Skypiea they say that they may have died and then they see sun god altars. If you want to go even deeper than this, with my famous Oars' Joyboy theory, the supposedly sun god altar in Upper Yard has Oni looking skulls on a sign that says God. These skulls may not actually be Onis, but I do believe they are supposed to represent Onis in the same way that the Beast Pirates have them. Throughout all of Upper Yard, there are also Vars or Verth statues of worship that look exactly like the Oars race. Oars' name is also based off of the Norse's sun god's name according to Oda and the One Piece wiki. This links to the most recent chapter because Luffy became Nika and Joyboy on who I believe was the original Nika and Joyboy. He became Nika and Joyboy on Onigashima, which may be the very skull to the original Nika and Joyboy. I explained this in much more detail in my other videos, but I just wanted to tell you how Luffy being reborn into Nika has a big connection to death in Skypiea. Now we all know how Blackbeard was known to be a they and not him, showing that he may have multiple souls. Well, since Luffy and Blackbeard are two sides of the same coin, would it really be that crazy to think that Luffy also has multiple souls in his body and is also a they? It seems like throughout the whole story no one could notice the other soul of Joyboy inside of him since he had never unlocked it. For Luffy to unlock it, he may have had to die and be reborn. Maybe from here on out, people like Zoro will also notice him as a they and not a him, just like Blackbeard. Since they are supposed to be the same but also opposites, it wouldn't surprise me if Luffy has a good guy's soul in him, while Blackbeard has some sort of evilness within him. What we are seeing right now may also be a similar thing to what happened to Cavendish. Cavendish goes into a trance that he doesn't notice or remember, which may be another soul inside of him and not himself. Luffy may be doing that right now and may not even remember afterwards that he defeated Kaido. Now I know I'm not the first to say this, but I do really like the idea of it. To sum up this theory, I basically believe that somehow Joyboy was deep inside Luffy this whole time and just needed to be unlocked through death. I don't believe that this is Luffy that we saw at the end of the 1043 chapter, but I think it is another soul who belonged to Joyboy. I think that Joyboy was close to being unlocked each time Kaido knocked him out. I also believe that it may have been Joyboy speaking the voice of all things through Luffy, which may have made it seem like it was Luffy, or somehow the Joyboy within him naturally allowed him to know how to speak it. I believe this may also be why Luffy is so confident in himself in things like taking down villains and finding the One Piece. Deep down, I believe the Joyboy within him allows him to know that he will be the Pirate King. He is the main character of this story, and that he cannot die no matter what because fate is on his side. Luffy probably somewhat has a gut feeling that this is all true, but either doesn't really care about it or just wants to live his own life and have fun. Anyways, what do you guys think happened in the last chapter? And what do you think will happen next? At the end of the day, this is all just a theory and it's all for fun. Even if this isn't the case, I can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter because this is just so hype and it feels like the peak of One Piece. Thanks a lot for watching. Share this video if you enjoyed my thoughts on this Joyboy event, and please remember to have a great day.